Pokémon Mystery Dungeon DX is the best remake Pokémon set in a while, and I can confirm this because I've played it. This video will go over the good, the better and the best within this game, and I'll try to explain why as short and sweet as I can. If you've watched my other videos, you know I'm a fan of the Pokémon Mystery Dungeon games. Up until Sky, because that's the last one I've played. For what I have heard from the other games that came after that, it's probably for the best that I didn't go further with the others. I can't say whether they're bad or not since I haven't played them yet, but I know Sky is the most universally liked. Instead of making another goddamn series, I wanted to go over this one differently. I'll explain the plot as I go over my own playthrough, which I did on Twitch. Yes, the shameless self-advertisement is here as well, and the link is in the description because I know you want to. You're nosy enough for it. The game starts off with a personality test. Depending on your answers, you're going to be playing as the Pokemon that comes closest to them. In my case, it was Trico, because I'm a fucking badass with a stick in my mouth all the time. You also get a partner, which you can choose yourself. There isn't a whole lot to choose from, it's the starters from the first 3 generations as well as some overrated filler. After naming my partner something very appropriate, we end up in the bushes not knowing what happened to us. Yes, I'm aware this sounds very alarming, but do not call the FBI just yet. It's just memory loss. Mudkip wakes us up and I immediately notice that the art style looks amazing. I'll go over that once we're later in the video, don't worry about it. We notice that we're not human anymore, instead we turn it into who would have guessed it, a Trico. Then, out of nowhere, a Butterfree comes up to us and asks if we can save a child Caterpie from a bunch of Pokemon after it fell into a cavern. Because I love children, I'll go and save it specifically for her. No, I didn't mean it like that. Please FBI, don't take me away. I didn't mean it like that. Please FBI. Once we saved Caterpie, we get a tiny reviver seed as our thanks. Mudkip showcases us a house, which strangely resembles our typing. While the background video is saving Magnemite, how about we talk a little about the changes this game made in comparison to its predecessor. In the original, you could get IQ points if you ate enough gummies. That way, you could get certain abilities, like catching an item, or fast recovery for status conditions. Or becoming fucking Jesus. I didn't even know that was a thing, I never got that far with my Sky save file, but it is. Rescue Team DX completely throws this overboard. Completely might be a little over-exaggerated, but gummies are now used for something else. Rare qualities. These basically do the same as the abilities from the IQ system, but you're only stuck with 1 per Pokemon. Personally, I like the older gummy system more. Sure, it could use some refining, but it was a better concept because you could actually get overpowered. Don't get me wrong, some of these rare qualities are overpowered in their own right as well, such as Riled Up, which lets you get a special attack and attack boost if you get hit. Yes, just getting hit can boost your stats now. There's about 30 of these, they all have their own niche. My favorite one has got to be Pee Pouch, simply because I'm 12 years old and reading Pee makes me giggle like a Japanese schoolgirl getting attention from a cute guy for the first time. Eventually the game lets you go towards Town Square and the Pelipper post office. This is where you can get items, save your money at the Persian bank, but I will not be doing that since I do not trust banks anymore. First boss time, Skarmory. We need to save Diglett from this cretin. Somehow Diglett got itself up there and now it can't get back down anymore. Perhaps I should just leave you there instead of getting my own hands dirty. The bosses to me feel like they have been revamped and made much more difficult than they were in the original. They do much more damage and they have much more HP. Again, it feels like that is the case, which it probably is. Later bosses also use the terrain to their advantage, such as Groudon, which wants to play the floor as lava. He excels at that, by the way. Rayquaza also does the same thing, but we'll get there once we're actually there. A lot more starts happening if you've rescued Diglett. Shift tree will pop up and say no to Jumpluff because it's asking to save its friend. The big boys turn up after that though. Alakazam and his team. This consists out of Tyranitar and of course Charizard. Because we can't go any game without him, can we? Before we actually help Jumpluff ourselves, because Shift tree reluctantly agrees after the conversation but fails anyway, we're supposed to rescue Metapod. Caterpie's sibling or friend. Look, I don't really go into detail about everything unless it actually benefits the story. Anyway, kill Team Bad Guy, which consists out of Gengar, Medicham and Ekans, and free Metapod from them. Gengar actually starts showing up much more because he is actually a bigger part of the story. Since Jumpluff didn't get rescued by Shiftry, we have to do it ourselves. On the peak of Silent Chasm, we find Zapdos. It takes Shiftry to Mount Thunder, but leaves Jumpluff. This is because, like in competitive Pokemon, nobody wants Jumpluff. You can have up to 8 Pokemon join you in your dungeon in this game, which is very necessary considering some of the bosses are on steroids. Zapdos was decent enough to beat due to the Pokemon we have on our team. Not because we were super effective or anything, but because Manectric had Lightning Rods, so he couldn't use Discharge or any other electric type move. Either way, beat Zapdos, he still wants to flat out kill you, Alakazam and his team come to save you. Of course it's Charizard again, like in Sword and Shield. I haven't talked about this before, but in between the storyline you also have nights that you go to sleep at and get shown a dream. This dream focuses on your conversation with God of War. Eventually you tell your partner that, as well as to Alakazam on Mount Thunder. Alakazam then says he knows something about us, or at least he has his suspicions. If you ask me, that's kinda sus. We'll get into that when the time is there. For now, Alakazam points us towards the Hill of the Ancients to find Nipplebird Xatu. This Pokemon can foresee the future by staring into the sun. If I did that, I would go blind, because it's the fucking sun. But okay, Pokemon logic, don't question it. Xatu tells us that the Pokemon are rampaging lately because something is unbalancing the nature on the planet, which is causing fissures and eruptions. Xatu says we are part of that unbalancing as well, but he doesn't or can't specify how we are tied to it. Gengar hears about this, and guess what he's gonna do? Dude gonna make up his own damn story. Gengar tells everyone about us being human, that we link to the world getting destroyed and that if we're not stopped, the world will fall apart. So he tells them to get rid of us and everyone that's on our side. This just took a really dark turn. They're literally wanting us dead now. All for the greater good. Before we leave, everyone we rescued is wishing us luck on our adventures as fugitives. During the time as a fugitive, you and your partner grow closer and closer. You head through water-filled caves, snowy forests, volcanoes and all types of those things. You also fight Moltres and Articuno during your time. Both of them are enraged because you're trespassing or whatever. Absol eventually joins the fray because he saves you from getting attacked by Articuno. I'm kind of underselling this part here, but this is one of the best bits of the game, considering that you're seeing the growth you and your partner are making. Your partner is struggling with things like self-esteem and pulling through, but you're there to help and get rid of that insecurity. During this bit, you'll start to feel very compassionate towards most of the characters. Your partner, Alakazam, Caterpie, they all have their own feel to it. And some of their arcs are very well laid out. Well, in most cases. Alakazam doesn't really have an arc, he's just a wise one that has to help you out here and there. Maybe that is his arc. At the very end of your journey, you get Ninetales, and Alakazam's team catches up with you. They seem to be the only ones to have made it this far. Not surprising, considering the fact that they literally are known as the most famous team out there. Here we learn from Ninetales that we are indeed a human, but that the ties we have to the world falling apart aren't because of us destroying it, but saving it. This means Gengar's version was a complete lie. When you return home, your base is getting an upgrade thanks to some Mankeys. These three don't really count as a boss fighter, but it's one of the hardest damn battles I've had, to the point that it made me rage quit on stream. We've touched on the difficulty part now, haven't we? I guess we should talk about that too. The boss fights in this game are something else. The legendary birds weren't really that bad, despite the fact that I had a disadvantage on at least one Pokemon on all of those. But the last three bosses, Rayquaza, Groudon and the Mankeys, nearly had me throwing something out of the window. The Mankey boss fight wasn't really that hard, it's just there were three of them, they hit really hard, and they're Mankeys. Nobody likes those. Rayquaza and Groudon, despite the fact that I didn't have a problem with the latter, are the most difficult ones. Rayquaza being at the very top of that list. He's also the final boss of the main story, so I can kind of see why he's the hardest boss in the entire fucking game. They both utilize their surroundings. Groudon has lava pouring in from the ground and disappearing over time, which can hurt you. Rayquaza has a whirlwind that'll throw you anywhere on the floor. Let me be clear. I think these are fine additions to the collection of bosses. But there is a difference between a boss being hard or very hard and just straight out being unfair. I think Groudon is hard, but Rayquaza is borderline unfair to me. It's just the fact that these whirlwinds throw you somewhere completely random on the map, and it doesn't matter where you are, Rayquaza has Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam, in this game, damages all Pokemon within the corridor of the beam being shot. You can see the footage, it doesn't matter where you are. The items you use on the bosses also work for a shorter time span than against regular enemies. Again, these are fine additions, but they make boss fights borderline unplayable. Combine that with Rayquaza having Hyper Voice and Twister on top of Hyper Beam, and he'll two-shot most of your Pokemon. You're going to need a lot of Reviver Seeds, Wands and Orbs for this fight to work. With the help of a tactic I've used plenty of times before, to close the game before it registers you as dead and then reopen it one, I beat Rayquaza on my first go. Technically. I didn't want to do Sky Tower again. This was a stupid but very good idea in the end. Rayquaza still wants to end us after all that, but it gets interrupted by shockwaves coming from the biggest meteor I've ever fucking seen. So this is how the dinosaurs felt, huh? Your partner tells Rayquaza to destroy it, which he replies to with the following question. Are you sure that you want me to do this, knowing it'll probably end in your own demise? Our answer to that is yes, because we're going to die anyway if that thing comes crashing down. We then get treated to the best cutscene in the entire game, obliterating the meteor. I haven't said much about the art style nor the graphics in this video, but I do want you to know that they have done a fantastic job at recreating this universe. The sketchy style of the surroundings, the Pokémon and their expressions, I can't really describe how it makes me feel, and I think because of that single thing, this game deserves my recommendation to all of you. Then we get treated to a very dark cutscene. We're laying in a grey void, being dragged away by Gengar, presumably to the afterlife. He gets interrupted by something before that is actually the case, so he just leaves us to die. We wake up back at the Hill of the Ancients, where Xadu is. He tells us that it's over. The media has been destroyed and the world has been saved. But now that that is done, God of War tells us that it's time to go. We did what we had to do, save the world. I'm not going to lie here, I cried. The fact that you've met all these characters and they, unlike more recent Pokemon games, they actually serve a purpose for being in the story already had me sobbing. Knowing I had to leave these guys, the friends I made in my 40-hour playthrough made me tear up. In fact, tears were rolling down my cheeks. I wasn't sobbing, I was legitimately crying. Why? Why? I don't understand. Why do you have to leave? Aren't we friends? Yes. You will always be my friend, Rick. I will never forget you. Rick thought, of course. Shut up, it's already making me tear up. I'm lucky to have met you. What am I going to do when you're gone? I'm so very sorry. This is goodbye. I'm not even kidding, this is actually making me tear up, holy shit. I knew exactly what was coming and it's still making me tear up. He wants me. Fuck, I want you guys to see me actually cry. I'm actually really crying right now. But when I was in that ball heading to space or something, a voice also stated that if you wish hard enough to stay, perhaps it'll come true. You can probably tell what happened, right? Yep, it didn't work. We're now stuck in this shitty realm of Pokemon Sword and Shield again. Jokes aside though, in the end, after the credits, you do come back. So you've saved the world, you got the girl, Mudkip was a girl by the way, and your wish came true. What else would you desire? Evolution? Post-game? Chloe Decker? Let me tell you one thing I learned about making this video and playing this game. 10 hours of footage, 30 hours of grinding, 4 hours of scripting and 6 hours of editing was totally worth it. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX is by far one of the best Pokemon games in recent years, even though it is a remake. I think this game is the best remake since Heart Gold and Soul Silver. The art style, the animation, the story, the characters, everything comes together in a conglomerate of, I almost want to say perfection, but I can't. The difficulty ramps up so hard that you're going to have to be on the grind all the fucking time. As much as I love every other aspect, I think the difficulty spike turns off a lot of newer people. This doesn't mean that the game isn't a solid 9 out of 10 for me though. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was an experience for me too. It's a review, a playthrough and an essay all in one. Consider liking, subscribing and checking out some other content I made. And if you want to see me do more of this, let me know in the comments. While you're at it, follow me on Twitch too. I stream about 3 times a week and I do tons of different things on there. We're actually working on getting to 50 followers right now. For now though, I hope you have a great day and I'll see you in the next one.